Good morning, everyone. I'm Diana, and I'm the Marketing Communications Manager at Norsat. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this morning in today's webinar titled Deep Dive into Wayfarer Terminals as part of our monthly webinar series. So we'll begin with a short presentation, followed by a live demonstration of our 1.2 meter KU band auto-acquired Wayfarer terminal. I'm delighted to introduce our two presenters today, John Hagerman and Rodrigo Aguilar. I'm sure most of you are really familiar with them as they have been the presenters in our previous webinars. But for those of you who are not familiar with them, they are our customer service engineers. They provide support and training to our customers as well as our internal employees, as well as provide consultation to any new project in development. So we'll have a Q&A session at the very end of the session, but feel free to submit your questions throughout the webinar and we'll address them as they come. And if you're not familiar with how to use GoToWebinar, please submit your questions in the control panel to your right. Just a few housekeeping items before we begin. Our next webinar is on September 28th on a comparison between gas versus GAN system performance. Our chief scientist, Michael Schefter, will talk about the differences between gas and GAN amplifiers and their impact on system performance. Please check out our webinar calendar on our website to see the roster of events and webinars that we have coming up. And we'll also be showcasing at the upcoming Communicate Asia virtual trade show happening in Singapore. The event is free, so if you're interested in joining, please go to the website and register. And finally, to stay up to date with all of our upcoming events and latest product launch announcements, please subscribe to our monthly newsletter, and you can do that by going on our website. So now, without further ado, I would like to pass things on to my colleague, John.
Thank you, Diana, for introducing the presentation for today. She mentioned we're going to have a deep dive into our Wayfarer terminals. Now, our Wayfarer terminals are broken down to three different product lines. We've got our flyaway terminals, a drive-away, and a fixed. We're also going to go over key benefits and applications of the Wayfarer terminal, as well as the differences of the market variations, and a few online resources. Also, what she mentioned, we're also going to show you a live demonstration of our Wayfarer Auto 1.2 meter KU band, and we'll have a Q&A session right after that. All right, we will begin with our Norsat Wayfarer flyaway antenna, which is an ultra portable, fast deploying, easy to use, and compact SATCOM VSAT. Now, this terminal is an excellent choice for commercial or military applications in various industries. It offers excellent, rugged, and reliable satellite links, ideally suited for remote enterprise, military, and emergency communications, a few media applications, and much more. You know, it's as you needed, and it's really easy to assemble. Terminal comes in two different bands, either KU, KA, and we also have a variations of dish sizes from up to 0.9 to 1.8 meter, and comes in either a manual acquire or an easy to put together auto acquire system, where it's you just assemble it and push a button and you're ready to go. Up next, we have our SATCOMs on the move, our commercial drive-away. Now, these are vehicle mount terminals where you can just park it and ready to go. These terminals are auto acquire. It is only for the KU band, but it comes into two different dish sizes, either 1.2 meter or 1.8 meter. Now, it comes also with a easy to use link control interface where you can set up your profiles, and that's where you control your antenna while inside the truck. It is very, very easy to deploy it. All you have to do is park it, and you're good to go. And last but not the least, we have our commercial fixed terminals. These are pretty much straightforward. You assemble it one time anywhere, and you're done. It's a permanent fixed. It is good for any locations as remote broadband, any Wayfarer, any mining, oil and gas industries, explorations, or whatnot. It is fast and it has a simple installation. It is a manual acquire, but it's very weatherproof, and it has a massive. It is built with a non-penetrating mount options, and it has a wide selection of bucks and LMBs. But as of right now, we only have it available for KU, and it's in two different dish sizes, either a 1.2 meter or 1.8 meter. Now, why Wayfarer terminal? Now, Wayfarer terminal's advantages is that it's very ultra portable, as we mentioned again, fast deploying, easy to use, and it's compact for easy travel. Our smaller dishes are IATA compliant, so you can just take it on an airplane. You can check in your baggage. It is low cost, low weight, and all our products are compatible with the Norsat LMB and bucks. So we can just buy all your silent needs for Norsat. It has a short lead time. It can survive at a wide range of temperature from -40 to 60 degrees Celsius. Now, as mentioned also, it is ideal for various situations, including remote enterprise, military, emergency communications, and any media applications that you have. Now, this terminal is currently made in China, but we also have a made in Canada available as you need it. Now, currently, the buck options that come with our Wayfarer terminals, for KU band, we can have a range up to 2 watts to 10 watts for our element bucks. It also comes with a 16 watt option, a 20 watt, all the way up to a 40 watt buck. Our LEB options are either from the Rear 1000H or HS1000 series. For the KA band buck options, we have a 12 watt element buck, comes also with a 25 and a 50 watt atom buck. Also, another Norsat LMB, which comes with our 9000 series. So you have multiple options if you decide to get one of these terminals. Now, a few market differentiators that the Wayfarer has an advantage over. Now, most of its components are integrated in Norsat. We have a broad range of RF selection, and we have a package standard offering as well. Now, we can do customizable at an individual component level as you need it. All our terminals come with a link control software for auto acquire terminals. It facilitates the signal acquisition, and it monitors your terminal's health. Our terminals also have an open AMIT option for the auto acquire terminals. It enables a carrier to optimize the signal at all times, and it has great value. The ruggedized weatherproof packaging, it has a very competitive pricing, and our terminals come under a 24/7 global support. It also comes with under a 1-year warranty. Now, we do have a few brochures and case studies that you can find on our website. I've set up a few links, but if you just go on our website, you will be able to find any information you need. If you don't, feel free to just ask us and email us or ask any questions below. With that said, I will pass it over to my colleague for the live demonstration portion.
Thank you, John. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this live demonstration for a Wayfarer. Today, and as John mentioned, we have multiple types of terminals under the Wayfarer terminal family. Today, we're going to do a demonstration with a 1.2 meter Wayfarer flyaway auto acquire. As you mentioned, we have also the fixed terminal drive away and the manual acquire. But this solution, we're going to introduce it, and that is also part of what we are calling a demo in a box, which will be a demo that can be sent to customers to experience and play with the terminal, so they can know how it feels, how easy it is to assemble, how easy it is to use. And today we're going to focus on this particular type. Okay, this solution is 2 cases, which I'm going to show all the contents on what they have. We have on the first case, I'm just going to roll it here. Rugged cases, very tough, and they are meant to be transportable, and they're very, very tough. They can resist pretty much without not just having scratches, but it's meant to last. Okay, here in all our cases we have a laminated packing guide just as a reference on what we actually have on each case and where does it go in the thumb cut. Just gonna put this aside. We have here the pedestal assembly, the tripod. We have also 3 feet. Normally they're very large because to get a better grip, you will need more surface to stay on the ground. So to have a little bit more grip, the feet are bigger. We made that improvement, and it's pretty steady. Also, we have a sensor cable, which it's part of all the connections for the sensors that the terminal has. In this very case, we have an atom buck installed in this terminal, and this is a power supply for it. If you're using an element family buck, they are connected through the IFL. You can power them up, so you don't need this power supply. Okay, moving on to the next layer, we have what we call the pedestal assembly, and this one has the buck and LMB, and also there are the connection cables that are coming with the terminal. I'm going to describe what they do in a moment. The pedestal, it has all the connections, and it has the ACU, or antenna control unit, and all the motors to make the movements for the antenna. Okay, just going to put this aside. And I'm going to move to case 2. It's the same style of case that it's the same. It's pretty solid. It's easy to transport. In here, we have a little portfolio. Normally has the basic information, depending if it's a demo or it's a brand new product. It has some documentation, some test results, our certificate of warranty, and all the paperwork goes included, as well as the manuals for the terminal, so the operator can have it a hard copy in case something goes wrong or needs to have a reference on all the information and the features for the terminal. As mentioned, each case has a laminated sheet to reference where the components go in here in the foam. This one is the reflector, 1.2 meter carbon fiber, pretty light. I'm going to mention about the order how it's assembled. Depending on your version, it might come with an IFL. there are multiple options if they are included, and in this case it has one 10 meter, and also the power supply for the terminal itself. Okay. Moving on to the next layer, you have the rest of the reflector, 4 pedals, the feed horn, and there's a little maintenance cable in case we need to send a firmware upgrade to add features or resolve a specific problem. This maintenance cable to make the firmware upgrade on the terminal, it's also included. Okay. Having said that, let's put this terminal or this case aside, and I'm going to show how the terminal is assembled. We have online a little video on how to assemble a Wayfarer in 10 simple steps. So the first step is to grab the tripod and extend the legs. It's very simple. Just extend the legs, and there's a little strap just to keep everything to prevent the legs to extend. That's it. Very simple. The tripod has a little bubble level, so it's you can tell if it's leveled or not. This is very important when you point, because you want to be as horizontal as possible, just to make sure that the movements in the azimuth axis doesn't affect any elevation angles. Okay. The feet mount, they are adjustable, so you can adjust them to make sure the tripod is level. Okay. Moving on, the feet, they have a little quick release pin. You press the button, you release it. It comes with a lanyard, so it's not get lost. Just insert it, press it, and that's it. Again, you open the remove the pin, insert the feet, and insert the pin, and the last foot. And that's it. Okay. Step number 2, pedestal. The pedestal is secured with Velcro straps. It's a little bit heavy, but it has a handle, so it's easier to maneuver. All you have to do is just to basically, there's a little latch here. You open it, let it sit. The ACU comes with a little arrow here on top. This is the front of the terminal, and this is where the target should be oriented. So when you know exactly where the target is, you have to point this arrow towards that. That will help and reduce the acquisition time. Right now it's not secured, so it can easily be moved. Once we know where's the target, just press down the latch and it's locked. Okay, here's where you can check if the terminal is level. You can just start making adjustments if you need it. Once it's leveled, ready to go. Okay. Third step is to check you have the audio connections for LMBs and bucks. We can provide multiple types of LMBs, and because they depend on the region they will be operating, they might need to use a different LMB. Then you will need to swap it. So just make sure that you have the buck and LMB that you will need. Most likely you won't need to do any changes, but just to make sure that you're using the correct LMB and buck for your operation. Okay, step 4 is remove the caps on the feed and bring the feed. Step 6 is to install the feed. The feed horn has a little collar to screw into the pedestal. It has a little slot, and there's also a pin in the base. So you have to align this pin. Once it's properly sitting in, then all you have to do is just to tighten up the collar. Okay. Step 7. Now we have to assemble the reflector. In this case, on the top layer, you have all the petals with a number. Number 1, which is the one that is on the top, has the sensor, inclinometer, and elevation sensor, and the instructions how the reflector is assembled. Okay, so number 1, and there's a label also here. You might not be able to see it, but it has a number 1, and all you have to do is insert it, tighten up this knob, and voila. And you continue doing this in sequential order according to the instructions. Number 2 goes in here. It's important to keep the order because to make sure that all the pedals are aligned and they don't have gaps between them. Just keep the sequential order because it's normally built as a one piece and cut individually. So this is how it was built, and just to keep the performance, it must have the sequential order. That's very important. Also, there's also a latch, the quick release. It's a 90 degree, is push, 90 degrees, and then lock. To release it, just push back, turn 90 degrees, the spring's gonna release the mechanism, and now you can remove it. The 1.8 meters and the 0.9 meters, they work the same way. So they're technically identical. The only difference will be just the reflector size. but pretty much the mechanism is the same. The reflector has some foam pads on the back to avoid during being transported or being inside of the case to scratch between each other. All of the components in this terminal are identified by the part number of the terminal and the serial number. If you ever need support, it's important to give us this number so we can know exactly what kind of configuration of the terminal you have. And you can find it pretty much on every component. The feed horn has one, the reflectors have one, the pedestal has one. So it's easy to find, and for customers that sometimes they have fleet of antennas, then they easily can know exactly which component belongs to which terminal. Also, so these components are compatible between terminals in case you require to swap it or due to fault. It's pretty much easy to swap as well. I'm just tying up all the knobs and ready to go. Okay. Then we have the power supply. It's important to power it up. This one is the Atom one. Gonna move here. IP65. You can leave it outdoors. This is the power supply for the terminal. The Atom terminal has a similar power supply. The pinout is different, but they use the same type of power supply. You can leave it outdoors. It's IP65 without any problems. You can be sure that the terminal is going to remain functional even if it rains. Just going to put this aside, and it comes with a long cable, so you can make sure that even your power source is going to be distant. You can still make sure that you can still continue to have power. Okay. Sensor cable. It's a short one. Both ends are different. The small one goes on the sensor itself, which is in the top of the reflector. It's a quick release. Just slide back the collar, push in, and it will lock in. The other end goes on the top of the ACU connections. It has a little red dot with a notch to indicate the orientation of the connector. Okay. And the rest is just the rest of the connections. In this case, we have an IFL. We normally color code our connections. And this one, the red one goes with the buck, and for transmission, and for reception, we have a green one, which also has here in the ACU a little red and green indicator in these connections, so we know exactly where it goes. Green with green, red with red. in case you're using an external laptop to use our link control software, you will require an additional cable. It comes with two cables. One says remote, the other one is for modem. I'm going to explain this a little bit later. These are connectors because are outdoors. They are actually weatherproof. So you can rest assured that these ones are going to be secure and without problems, even if it rains. Okay. The last step is power it up. And now it's ready to go. You have all your connections, you have your terminal assembled, and all you have to do is to start using it. I would like to pause right here just to make a quick poll to know a little bit of, or have a little bit of feedback. What would be interested in? In this case, would you be interested in getting a demo unit to experience and have the feeling and of how easy it is to use, and if it's going to be suitable for your needs or your operation? We're just going to give it 1 minute just to collect a little bit of the feedback. Okay, the results shows that yes, people are interested to have one of these terminals. So if you're interested in demo in a box, you can contact one of our sales team to make sure that they guide you through the process of getting one of this. The next question we would like to ask is, which type of configuration would you be interested? We'll give a few more seconds. Okay, so the poll looks like the drive-away, fly-away, and fixed terminals are quite popular, more even than the manual and the agro acquisition. Yeah, it depends. We have a family that can cover multiple types of operations, and depending on what you will need, we have a product that might be suitable for you. But we have a large variety, and it will be good if you can contact our sales team to make sure that they guide you through the process if we have availability for that product. Okay, moving on. The next I want to show you is our link control software. This is developed at Norsat, and it's included in most of our products, especially on the agro acquisition products. And they can control the antennas and have a visual aid and have extra tools to help you with the acquisition process and how to configure and save these profiles in the computer, and to make it a little bit more flexible. I would like to show you the link control interface. So unfortunately right now we don't have a terminal connected outside, so it might show that it has a little bit of alarms. But just to give you a little bit of overview of what are how the interface looks like. This one has a start page, which is it gives you all the components that the terminal has and the status of them. The next tab is the link profile, and this is where the flexibility of the terminal comes up, because you can configure and save those configurations in the computer, and as many as you want, and depending on your operation you can just select it and apply it, and then the configuration is going to be stored in the terminal. Customers, how they use it is, oh, I'm going to be in this location, and okay, I have a profile that is for this country, and we are going to have, okay, just push the configuration, it's all ready to go. Now you move it to a different region, and you have a profile specific for that region with a different satellite and different modem, and you can just select it, push the configuration, it's ready to go. This is a little overview of what the profile has, which depending on if you have multiple box or multiple LMBs, you can save them here. If you have a specific location or you're going to use the internal GPS, you can still use it. If you're going to have a modem that it's OpenAMIP, you can also select it here on the profile, and you can add notes depending if you have a specific number or a specific sequence or someone they have to contact. You can add the notes as long as you have a space. The next tab is the auto acquisition tab, and this one has the controls and all the readings for all the sensors while doing the acquisition. This has to be linked to a link profile that exists already in the system. Once you create a profile, all you have to do is select it, and it's going to try to find that specific satellite that it's for that profile. The next tab is the alignment tab, and it has the controls for the motors, and in case that you require to move move the motors manually, you can use this interface to start moving the antenna in the 3-axis: azimuth, elevation, and polarization. And last but not least, we have a status page, which allows you to give all the parameters and all the readings from the sensors and the status of all the components of the terminal. That's a little bit of an overview of what the link control software can do. And it's very easy to use, and you can use this software with the terminal and make it more flexible. An additional feature that we have in sorry, I'm gonna jump first on a live demonstration on how the acquisition is done. And unfortunately, due to a little inconvenience on the weather, we had to do it previously with this terminal, but this is a live demonstration. No time has been changed. This is how fast the terminal can acquire a satellite. So right now you can see that, okay, everything looks good. We select the profile. We push the configuration to the terminal, and on the acquisition tab, we're ready to go, no alarms, and it will start to acquire. Every time that you start to use the antenna or you power it on, it goes on a calibration routine. So just to make sure that the terminal knows exactly where it's pointed. So from the stow position, it's going to go down, it's going to detect which is the current position, and it's going to start to move. You're observing that now the terminal is starting to sweep in azimuth. Probably it's not that obvious. The movements are very, very tiny. And at that point, found a target, and it's going to start to peak on both azimuth and elevation. You will see that it's going to do 2 rounds just to sweep on azimuth and elevation, just to make sure that it maximizes the signal level on those for that target. It continues to move. It's actually on the 2nd round. Now it's just returning to the maximum point on azimuth, and it's starting to do adjustments on elevation just to make sure that it's that point was maximized. So it's going to go down, then up, pick the orientation that has the maximum gain, and it's going to stop. The acquisition time normally takes less than 5 minutes, and it's very simple. Once you have it configured on link control, it's just press a button. The terminal is going to take care of it, and it's going to do everything. And now it looks, yes, acquisition complete. So that's how fast a Wayfarer terminal can acquire the satellite. And yeah, it's very simple to use. Later, when you run your operation, you plug in your modem, you are ready to go, you can start using the modem with the IFL, and you can just start to transmit to the satellite. Once you are done, then all you have to do is, once you are gonna pack it up, again, you can press the button for parking, and it's gonna position all the mechanics in a very convenient way, so you can pack it back to the case easily without having to do any mechanical adjustments after that. I'm going to show you in a moment just the parking sequence. Okay, and once you're done, you just press the parking button. It's going to give it to the original position where it was assembled, and you can just pack it up again once you power it down. That simple. Okay. And the next feature I would like to show you, it's also the we have the one button in the ACU. We have I'm going to show you in a second. Okay, here on the ACU, we have one button that pretty much controls the status or some routines. It's a shortcut, let's call it that way. When you press the button once, it's going to run the calibration routine with one beep. So the antenna is going to move and it's going to start to detect where is the current position. If you keep it pressed until you hear 2 beeps, the last profile that it was selected or it was used in the terminal is going to acquire that satellite. So you really don't require link control to be running at the startup to start the auto acquisition routine. The last satellite acquired, you can just press the button without having to interact with any computer. Just press it until you hear 2 beeps. It's going to try to acquire that last target. If you need to make any changes on the configuration or select a different profile with a different satellite, you will have to use link control. With that, the same with that button, if you hear 3 beeps, it's going to bring it to parking position. So I'm going to do a quick demonstration. Without having to use link control to do this routine through the software. And done. One last thing I want to mention is that for some modems that will require GPS coordinates, you will require to have an extra cable that will push those GPS coordinates to the modem. The GPS coordinates can be provided by the terminal, and you can use the extra cable. It's not an Ethernet, but it's a serial based to push those GPS coordinates to the modem. That pretty much covers all the features and the easy to use that it's a Wayfarer terminal auto acquire. With all this said, we can start our session for questions.
And just a reminder, if you have any questions, please submit them in the question box on your control panel. And it doesn't have to be a question pertaining to this webinar specifically. If you have any product questions, you know, JJ and Rod can answer those as well. I guess maybe Rod, can you also maybe talk about are all the products that we have available for this demo available for a demonstration, or is it just selection of products?
For the Wayfarer, we certainly have for the for the Wayfarer, we have also different products or that can go with the Wayfarer. We have universal LMBs, or you have different types of box, smaller, but will not require an additional power supply, like element box. They will also require additional hardware or different hardware to mount it into the Wayfarer, and normally comes as an accessory. Demo in the box, also we have our popular globe tracker that it's also an auto acquisition, but it's more for military applications. This one that is, as John mentioned, is part of our commercial line, but the globe tracker is a product that has passed through multiple certifications and is for military industry.
And if you guys ever have any questions, you know, for both of them that you want to discuss offline, their emails are, you can email support@norsat.com. And for marketing, we, you know, always welcome your feedback. And there's actually a short survey that we would like you to complete after this webinar. So please take a few minutes to complete it if you can. And for any feedback for us, you can email us at marcom@norsat.com. So I don't see any other questions. If that's the case, we're just going to conclude the webinar. And again, I want to thank all of you for attending today. And if you have any questions or feedback for us, you can email us at either of those email addresses, or you can complete a contact form on our website if you wish to speak to a member of the sales team. So thank you both today, Rod and JJ, for giving us a wonderful presentation. And thank you to everyone for attending. Have a great rest of the week.